Scouts, and I know something that stops a bandit. A super spy. Then Kiki said, a super spy in the... Just like that when Kiki says, a super spy? What's a super spy? Where Scout says, a super spy is a secret agent. When a bad guy does something bad, a super spy stops him. Where Kiki says, oh, now we get it. Where Scout says, hey, while we stop that mystery bandit, where Scout says, we'll call ourselves the Spy Bandits. Where Scout says, Rush Beats, where Scout says, let's power up. In the... Just like that when Scout says, Rush Beats, let's power up. Where Scout says, call me Super Spy Scout. Where Scout says, and Kiki, you'll be called Super Spy Kiki. Where Scout says, and Shout, you'll be called Super Spy Shout. Where Scout says, and Twist, you'll be called Super Spy Twist. Where Scout says, and I'll be Super Spy Scout. In the... Just like that when Scout says, and I'll be called Super Spy Scout. Where Scout says, Super Spy Kiki, you lead the way. Where Super Spy Kiki says, you got it, Scout, I'll be the leader. Where Scout says, wait, Rush Beats, he's getting away. Where Scout says, after him. Where Kiki says, yeah, after him. Where Kiki says, wait, this way. Where Kiki says, that way. Then Kiki says, wait, left, right. Where Kiki says, wait, that way. Where Kiki says, where to go? Where Kiki says, aha, found you. Where Scout says, he's getting away. Where Scout says, go after him. Where Scout says, this Scout says, that's it, we can catch him, we can catch him, we can catch him. This Scout says, where Scout says, we can't catch up to him, he's too fast. Where Scout says, wait, where Scout says, I think I smell his scent. Then Farmer Josh says, hey, get that back. Where Kiki says, that sounds like Farmer Josh. Where Kiki says, don't worry, Farmer Josh, we're on our way. Where Scout says, Spy Bands, onwards. Where Kiki says, Farmer Josh, what happened? Where Farmer Josh says, a strange guy with a hood took the hay, and then he's gone. Where Scout says, yeah, we know. Where Scout says, and we know who did it. Where Scout says, it was the Mystery Bandit. They say, the Mystery Bandit. Where Scout says, yeah, he took my tablet. Where Scout says, and all our items. Where Scout says, and he's getting away with them. Where Scout says, and there he goes. Where Scout says, after him. Where Scout says, okay, Mystery Bandit, come out, wherever you are. Where Scout says, you can run, but you can't hide. Where Scout says, I can smell ya. Where Scout says, there he is. Where Scout says, or he was. Where Scout says, he's getting away again. Where Scout says, after him. Where Scout says, that's it, we can catch him, we can catch him, we can catch him. Where Scout says, I don't know why that Mystery Bandit can run really fast. Where Scout says, okay, I think I need to catch my breath. Where Marshall Kitty says, meow, and that means he says, hey, give that back. Where Scout says, uh-oh, more trouble. Where Kiki says, Marshall Kitty, what's wrong? Where Kiki says, I think he says, when I was playing my yarn ball, and then a strange guy with a hood took it, and then he disappeared. Where Scout says, we know. This Scout says, was it that guy? Then Marshall Kitty says, yep, that's him. Where Kiki says, I think he says, yep, that's him. Where Scout says, yeah, and we know his name. Where Scout says, the Mystery Bandit. They say, the Mystery Bandit. Where Scout says, yep, that's what I said. Where Scout says, and there he goes again with all our items. Where Scout says, after him. Where Scout says, that's it. We can catch him. We can catch him. We can catch him. We can catch him. Where Scout says, we don't catch him. Where Scout says, okay, I think I need to take a break. Where Kiki says, what's wrong, Scout? Where Scout says, well, it's all my fault. Where Scout says, I shouldn't leave my light blue tablet. Where Scout says, and I shouldn't know that Mystery Bandit. Where Scout says, we're never gonna catch him. Where Kiki says, don't worry, Scout, we'll catch him. Where Kiki says, a super spy never gives up. Where Scout says, you really think so? Did Kiki say, yeah, you can still be with us. This Scout says, I can't. Did Kiki say, yeah. Where Scout says, oh yeah, I can be with you. Where Scout says, a super spy never gives up. Where Scout says, after him. Where Scout says, he's using the elevator. Where Scout says, let's use the other elevator. Where Scout says, it's a bit tight squeeze in here. Where Kiki says, Scout, you know your tail's on my face. Where Scout says, oh, right. Where Scout says, there he goes. Where Kiki says, whoa there, guys. Where Kiki says, those robot guards are blocking the door. Yeah, where Scout says, yeah, and they're blocking our way. Where Scout says, how do we get past them? Where Kiki says, wait, I have an idea. Then Kiki says, okay, pretend to be statues. The Scout says, uh-oh, here comes a robot. Where Scout says, Kiki, it worked. They didn't notice us. Where Scout says, aha! Where Scout says, we got you, Mystery Bandit. Where Scout says, oh no you don't. Where Scout says, you're not going anywhere. Where Scout says, unless you're. The Scout says, Juniper Montage? Then the Brush Bee says, Juniper Montage? Where Juniper says, hi guys. Where Scout says, Juniper? It was you all the time? Where Juniper says, yes. Where Kiki says, but why were you taking all our things? Where Juniper says, sorry, I didn't mean to take all your things. Where Juniper says, it's just I needed to make a computer. Where Juniper says, one day, my computer was broken, and I couldn't decide. Where Juniper says, so I decided to use all your items, and I need to connect the wires, so I used the yarn ball. Where Juniper says, and I didn't know what to do, so I tried and make you go away. Then the Brush Bee and Scout says, oh. Where Scout says, you only mean you were trying to stop us because we thought you were going to hurt you? Where Juniper says, yes. Where Juniper says, so I'm sorry, I used all your items. Where Kiki says, that's okay, Juniper. Where Kiki says, next time, ask us to borrow them, okay? Where Juniper says, yes, I will ask you to borrow them. Where Juniper says, I promise. Did Kiki say, you promise not to take them ever again? Did Juniper say, yes, I promise. Where Scout says, so, Kiki, what's the answer? Where Kiki says, the answer is, there was no Mystery Bandit. Did Scout says, what? Where Kiki says, it was just Juniper Montage. Where Scout says, oh, yeah. Where Juniper says, well, you can have all your items back. Where Scout says, yes, we did it. Where Scout says, we got my tablet back. Where Kiki says, and my violin back. Where Marina says, and my drumstick back. Where Scout says, and a piece of my keyboard. Where Twist says, and my hat back. Where Juniper says, well, that was a fun adventure. Where Juniper says, oh well, maybe this girl's done being a bandit. Where Juniper says, I don't need his hat. Where Juniper says, I don't need his hoodie. Where Juniper says, and I don't need his sack. Then the ghost says, boo. Where Juniper says, I think that ghost likes it. Where Scout says, wow, Rush Bee, that was fun. We finally got our items back. Where Scout says, so, Juniper, want to be part of our band? Where Juniper says, of course, I always want to be part of our band. Where Scout says, sure, follow us.